Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talks morning show. And every day we rise, it's a great day to be alive. Of course, the morning shows are presented by the Seven Cities Farms of Hampton Roads. And welcome to the listeners on WGPL 1350 AM on your radio dial. And this morning, you can see we just have the host here. And of course, the host, Portsmouth Coffee Talk is Leah Drake Stitt and Thomas the Colonel Chapman, and yours truly, James Slim Overton. And we're going to talk about a few things here this morning. Leah will be back shortly. But Colonel, I wanted to talk about some local things because the budget is coming up. But I wanted to start off with, get your feelings on, the presidential race coming up. I just saw where Biden has got someone to be in charge of his campaign. And by the time it comes around, he'll be 86 years old. And nothing against the older people, but you can see now, when he talks.
Be 82.
82.
82.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be 82. Well, still, you see when he talks. Somebody just mentioned that on CNN. They must have misspoke because they said 86, but 82. But still, when you see when he talks, my thing is we don't have. I guess it's time for other people to come up. But usually, when you have a sitting president and he says he's going to run, people don't usually step up and challenge him. That sitting president, he usually gets the nomination if he says he's going to run. And Trump, of course, is still leading with all the things he's going through. He's still leading. What do y'all think? I mean, we're not seeing anything. It's kind of early, but usually people will give you some indication. You have some people sprinkled out throughout the country saying they possibly will run. Even what's the fellow Scott in South Carolina?
Tim Scott
Is putting out
hope.
Putting out feeders out there to see.
You don't have a hope or dream.
But Colonel, you talked about that. You knew he was going to run. So
yes. Well, to answer your question, for a sitting president to announce he's going to run again, if he historically, if a sitting president has a vibrant challenger, they have a history of losing.
The sitting president.
Sitting president. Go back to Carter. Kennedy, Edward Kennedy challenged him, losing, and so and it's gone way back before, and so we have a history of that. If you have a vibrant challenge to a sitting president. Now, as far as his age go, his mind is as sharp as a tack. He's always had a stutter. Biden has had that.
Yeah.
People you'll see that the right-wing media, and you'll see on different websites, like you'll see on Yahoo and also in MSNBC on the MSN, they'll have this feed from the 1945 project, and it always talked about the Democrats and how bad the economy is, how bad Biden is, and how bad things are. But it's all said that is a form of propaganda that is run by the Confederates or the Republican Party, and also run 24 hours a day by state-run TV, meaning Fox TV.
You think that propaganda is working? Because his numbers are not great. Whether it's true or not, it's what the message that's getting across.
Well, his numbers are the same as Obama's was at this stage of the race.
Well, the numbers are skewed.
Skewed. They're very skewed.
When they are skewed, because when people wake up and say, "What is the alternative?" When they
exactly,
and you see that you might as well put David Duke back in the White House. as far as people of color, if Trump gets back in there, you might as well go in your house and don't come out, because he is going to be after everybody that has said anything against him and is not for him. He will weaponize the Justice Department. He'll be suing people, putting people in jail. He's already said that he's going to use the military to extract law and order across this country, and a lot of illegal stuff. He's going to militarize the border, and you already know that for women's rights, he's he's been quiet on the last abortion issue, but in this last donor meeting that he had, he said he told these Christians, saying, "I gave you that because you worked 50 years to overturn Brown, and I gave it to you in 4. What is he going to do? You will have a national ban on abortions when he gets in there, because he'll have another shot to solidify more right-wing, unqualified, and bought off judges. Look at if Clarence Thomas was a Democrat, the
Please.
Republicans would have been
They
trying
had him lynched by now.
impeached by now. But not one, other than Mitt Romney, who gave this wavering opinion saying it doesn't smell right. He's the only one. But all in mass, the other Republicans don't see any difference and any problems with him taking bribes while sitting on the Supreme Court. And not because he is bought and paid for. And you can see in the judgments that he's had, he is the only one that Supreme Court justice. So when it came down to where in the last election, in 2020 election, he's the only one that wanted to overthrow Biden's election. The only one. It should tell you how corrupt he is, and he doesn't deserve to be there. He is stained the legacy. He is sitting in Thurgood Marshall's seat, and Thurgood is laying over there in Arlington, just turning over his grave. Just the thought of somebody, this piece of whatever, sitting in his seat and representing the Supreme Court, and they won't do anything about him. And I digress from there. What say you? Now, did I answer you?
You
Yeah.
digress from there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just want to say you answered the question. One of the things that I see, we can spend a lot of time talking about Trump and what he would do. It's not a whole lot of time talking about Biden and what he has done and what he is doing. That
And he has
there
done
lies
a
the
lot.
problem. And there
He's done
lies
a
the
lot.
problem with me. You know, it's easy because everybody sees what Trump is doing. It's easy. I mean, he's putting it right in your face. And so we all the talking points, and I think sometimes that gives him more exposure, and that's all he wants is exposure, good or bad. And I guess he goes by that thing. It's no, any exposure is good exposure, whether it's good or bad, and he gets that. And he gets that. Even going to court, he wants to be shown walking in the court.
Yeah.
And that riles up or keeps, well, we already talked about his base is solid. They're not moving.
Right.
But he might even get some people to fall that way. A lot of people that agree with him don't say anything until they go in the ballot box and vote. I mean, he got 70-some million votes last time for all the craziness things. So we just don't hear enough about what Biden is doing. And when they talk about Biden, it's what he's not doing or what he hasn't done.
Yeah.
And he has done a lot, and it's just not talked about enough. That talking point is not out there constantly. It's all you hear about is Trump and DeSantis and the governor of Texas and all the guys doing all the crazy things.
Yeah, it's imperative they begin to share all of the good things. He has done so much since he's been president. So much for the economy, so much for the this green initiative, which we must take notice of, because if you don't believe that global warming is true, look at all of these tornadoes and that are taking place throughout the nation. Look at the weather changes. Look at the glaciers that are melting all across the world. So if we don't want to believe in global warming, if you don't want to see the things that he's done as far as the infrastructure is for the states, if you don't want to believe, just go out and look. I mean, you can't even get through town now without all the highway constructions that are going on. And all of those initiatives are a result of the money that Joe Biden has given back to the states.
Mhm.
You know, you look at the fact how he pulled us out of the COVID situation. This economy was heading truly downhill. And because of his initiatives, the economy has come back up again. And we're
Mhm.
not in that recession that they claimed that we were going to be in. So you got to look at the things that he's done. You got to look at the people he has surrounded himself with. A good leader surrounds himself with good people. He may be 82, but he's really surrounded himself with strong individuals who can help to carry this country up to the next level. And that's what we have to look at. Got to look at the things he's done, look at the people he surrounded himself with. And, you know, I can't see anybody on the other side who has declared himself thus far who will be capable of doing any of those things, because they're going to come in with a totally different agenda. Just like the budget that the Speaker of the House has put forth. If that budget goes through, it's going to mess everything up again. You know, we're going to be back in the shape that we were before when the other guy was there. I'm like whooping now. I don't even want to mention his name anymore. I don't even want to say his name anymore. But you really have to take your
He
time.
likes for you to call his name.
I know, and I refuse to call his name anymore. But you have to really take your time and research where we were 4 years ago and where we are today. He
Well,
might be 82, but he's surrounded by excellent. And look at the world. Look at our standing in the world. You know, when that other guy left the house, nobody trusted America, you know. But look at where we are now in the world. You know, we're back in that leadership role within the world now. As a result of, James, this is once again where we go back to the point about seasoned people. You know, we got into this the last time, seasoned versus young. But here we go. You got a seasoned individual who understood world history, who understood hero's history, period, because the other guy didn't know anything about history. Who understood history. He could go back on the history and his knowledge and able to reestablish those relationships that we had lost around the world. So there's a lot to look at in this whole picture. There's a lot to look at. And I just think that just as those legislators who've surrounded themselves with Joe Biden, they realize that he's taken us to a new place, you know. Now, as we talk about this, Kennedy's son is talking about throwing his hat in the race. And this guy is so far from the Kennedy family as a Democrat. He says he's coming in as a Democrat, okay? But he's so far from the Kennedy family beliefs, it's unbelievable. This man has been he's been with Steve Bannon. He's been with the other man's his group, those folks who support him. He's coming out now to run as Democrat. Even his family are distancing themselves from him.
Yeah.
They don't want his sisters and brothers want no part of him, you know. So you got to look at what's out there. You really have to do your research when you go to vote.
Yeah, I don't think he can live on the Kennedy name, because
No, he cannot.
history has shown that even the Kennedy name or some of the things that they did, you know, one of the great, even though John Kennedy might have been a good president, and Robert Kennedy came along, because Robert Kennedy wasn't like he was before he was
Exactly.
assassinated. He was, you know, if you know the history, if you read the history, neither one of them were really anxious to jump into the civil rights thing, you know.
They
They
were
were
forced
backing away.
into it.
And Robert Kennedy was even worse as far as distancing himself or trying to keep from going into that. It wasn't until later after his brother was assassinated, then he started coming around, realizing, you know, what he needed to do, and then they took him out.
Mhm.
So I don't know, how much traction this guy will get on the Kennedy
I
name
don't think he's
alone.
gonna get much attraction. I really
Uh,
don't.
because of the things you just said, people
Exactly.
know him for that more than they know him as being a Kennedy.
Mhm.
Well, let me give this disclaimer before we get in the weeds here, because the views stated on this program are just from the host and no third party endorsements and nobody behind us. And so we stay out of Facebook jail. This is just us talking. But I will tell you that one, this Kennedy is a closet Republican.
Yes, he is.
Do not be fooled. He may be running on the a Democratic ticket or trying to, but he is being propped up by the Republicans.
Steve Bannon. Steve
Republican
Bannon is all behind him.
Yes, and they're trying to sow dissension amongst the ranks. And you mentioned the other John F. Kennedy and his brother, who was assassinated also. And their reluctance to get involved with the civil rights movement. And they did get in there, but the civil rights movement didn't take off until Lyndon Baines Johnson
Exactly.
stepped
Mhm.
into the fray. And from there, all of the Great Society movement started with Lyndon Baines Johnson. He does not get a lot of the credit that he should have gotten.
Yeah, well, they really had to force his hand though, but whether they had to force his hand or not, he came through, because he was one of those good old boys from the South, even though he was a Democrat. He used the N-word, and things like that. But
But his
if it wasn't for those guys going to the White House, Martin Luther King and his group going to the White House and forcing his hand and putting it out there, because it kind of saved him from the Vietnam. Well, it didn't really save him from the Vietnam War, because that was kind of his downfall. But it took attention away from that war, at least for that period, so he could concentrate on civil rights and making history there. But
even though he had a checkered past, he understood that with the help of civil rights leaders, and Martin Luther King and the rest of the civil rights leaders, that this country cannot stand being divided the way it was.
mhm.
Knew that we could not live being separate but equal the way the Republicans wanted to be, as they wanted to do now.
And then when he realized that, Colonel, he knew how to go and force those congressmen's hands and say, well, if you want this over here for your constituents, you got to go with me on this. And you don't, I guess that goes on a lot now, but he went in there, he might not, if he didn't have the votes, by the time he finished with those guys, he had the votes. Sometimes you got to work for those votes, man.
Yeah.
You gotta put, if you want this in your district, you're not going to get it unless you come along with me. And he was the president talking, and sometimes you miss that kind of interaction with the presidents now. I guess sometimes the majority of Republicans can be so strong and bullheaded, you're not going to turn them around regardless. Even if it's something that might favor their districts, they don't care.
Yes.
So it's hard to turn those guys around, because they vote lockstep on almost everything.
Yes. Well, you know what Leah was talking about, and actually all of us are talking about what has Biden done. He has saved it. First thing he's done, he has saved our democracy by being elected and getting Trump off of the national scene and sending him down to Mar-a-Lago. Because we wouldn't even be able to have this conversation if Trump was in office.
Yeah.
We would not have a First Amendment right to talk and to discuss anything about him or our democracy. Today, we have the lowest unemployment for Black Americans ever in our history. That is not without a coincidence, and it's only due to the job that he has done. We've got a nation, a 50-year low in overall unemployment. We let the right talk all of that down.
Mhm.
We're decreasing the debt. And Speaker McCarthy let it out prior to him ascending to this office. He said after he got through a meeting down with Trump, and they said that they had already hatched a plan to take Biden down by taking the economy down, because they know, as Bill Clinton says, it's the economy, stupid.
Mhm.
So with and you can draw a straight line to the debt talks that we have now, or non-talks. They want to destroy this economy so they can blame it on Joe Biden. And things are on the upward swing. So after the midterms, you can look at in 2 years, look where we're at, because no meaningful bills will get through the House for the next 2 years. They haven't passed anything of substance
And,
since they've been in office.
and Colonel, we can come back to this. Let me get this in before we go off the radio. I just wanted, there's some people that might be listening to radio, that might be citizens of Portsmouth that might not carry over. You know, it's important that tomorrow, Portsmouth City Council will start their budget hearings. And it's important that you either attend or watch. Be better if you attend. But before you attend those budget hearings, go online and pull up that budget
Mm-hmm.
and take a look at it. So it's crazy to go down there and speak on something
That you don't know
concerning the
about.
budget that you don't know about. And
Exactly.
you don't have to be proficient in the whole budget, because it's kind of comprehensive. But you know, if you look at the budget, you can go down and find things that might be concerning your interests. And I would encourage you too to go before the 7 o'clock meeting, go to the work session. So get your dinner early and everything, go to the work session at 5 and watch that, because that's when a lot of the issues are talked about, and they're going to discuss the budget and where they're going in the budget. And then by the time you get to the regular meeting, the budget is on the agenda. They're going to talk about that, and it's going to be public hearing, so people will be able to go up there and speak on it, on certain things. In the budget, you're going to see some raises, and I think this happens every budget,
It
like
does.
5% on
Yes.
utilities and things like that. But you might want to know that what's going to be raised, and you might, also raise your opposition against it. If you see stormwater or something like that going up, 5%. I don't know how much. Well, if enough people talk, they should listen. But they're going to make the case that they have to do these things in order to operate as a city. But, if nobody says anything, or if you don't know what's going on until you get that bill, when you get that bill, it's too late. So I just wanted to put out the appeal to make sure we go down to city council. At least if you don't speak, at least listen, so you'll know it might be something that might affect your neighborhood, and you'll know in advance before it happens. So.
Slim, you're so true. And so when you listen to and you mentioned the stormwater bill, and I just looked at the increase that City of Chesapeake did. They increased the stormwater fee.
Yes, they did.
And so, but the story behind that is people need to understand what entails the stormwater fee and what does it do. Read up on that before you go out there and speak. And this is why it has an increase, and it's just not an increase to because they want to do it. There's a purpose behind it. And so the city manager, in conjunction with the mayor, is gonna put forth this budget, and we will get a chance, or the citizens of Portsmouth will have a chance to have some input. You'll also see the craziness of especially two of the members up there that will probably go against just about everything. And I'm not even going to mention their names, so you'll see it for yourself.
Mhm.
The lunacy on the other end, they usually sit on the one side by themselves. But educate yourself before you go down there, and you see how the policies, and you look at, Slim, you mentioned this 5% raises that they'll try to do with education, and that other than the education and police force getting a raise, you have to look at what do they want to do with that money, and the money that goes to different programs, which will be that's going to help on crime, to help create jobs, to repair the streets and all the other utilities and all the things that make up the city. Educate yourself that, because the budget, everything that is going to happen good is in that budget. And so just be informed.
And I'll add this, a lot of, I looked at some of the increases that's coming. A lot of those increases, some of them are coming from like raising the fees if you park in a handicap. So that's not going to affect you unless you break the law, because that's going up like $200. They might charge you a certain amount if you get caught parking in a handicap, but now it's going to be $200 more. And there's some other fees like that they're going up on, or charges that they're going up on if you do something against what's policy or against the law. So it's not all coming up on everybody. They have some fees that they have to collect, just like I said earlier, to operate. Things go up. They need people. You hear some of the departments talk all the time how they are short-staffed. The assessor's office, of course, we short of police. So you have to be able to cover those things for these departments to operate effectively. So you can't squawk about every little thing. It's some things in there you should be concerned about, or you should speak up against, and let them know that you're not satisfied. But some of those things, like the Colonel said, educate yourself exactly what it's doing, and the reason why they might have to go up 5%, and look back in history and see every year for the last 5 years, it's been going up just to keep up with everything else.
Well, you know what? Might want to talk about the transition, because we're 3 minutes.
All right, we want to thank everybody that's listening on WGPL 1350. We appreciate you, but we're going to transition now off the radio. We just had them for the first half hour, but if you want to join us as we continue on Facebook Live, come on my page, and you can continue watching and listening on Facebook Live. Take care. We'll see you next Monday on WGPL 1350. And pretty soon they're telling me we can also be on FM, 88 point something. That's been a long time coming. They're already on FM on PCE. So FM is coming within the next month, I believe, or weeks, from what they're telling me, that we'll be on FM as well. So that's going to be something huge for us. But thanks again. We appreciate it.
So getting back to what we were talking about, the budget. So when you see, for an example, when if you're going to see a raise in teacher pay, police and fire departments. So the question would be asked, if you want to, as you educate yourself, ask them, what are they going to do other than giving a raise to those sitting in the chairs, and also to the sheriff's department? What are they doing to hire more staff and to make it a more diverse force, especially in the fire department and in the police department? We don't need more cops out there to give tickets, to run around and set up speed traps and do nuisance tickets. But we need more to help out in the crime. So you have to look at the policies that the police chief will put forth for community-based police force, police actions.
Policing. Mhm.
So you need to ask that question. What are they going to do with this new, and what is in the budget to make this work? And so that's one of the things you can do with the budget, and the budget affects everybody, everything, and everything that goes down in the city. And so we already know, because of inflation coming out of the pandemic, these increases are just part of living in this world, and you just can't turn your nose up. It's going to happen. But what we do with the money, and I say we because it's up to the citizens who are we, what happens to that money, because it's your money, and so you have a say so.
Yeah, it's just a matter of knowing. It's just a matter of knowing how your money is spent, and whether the increases go up and affect you or not. The more you know, the better you'll be able to accept some of them. But like we said again, some of them you might want to voice opposition against, and it's going to take more than one person opposing something for them to sort of reevaluate it. And you have two opportunities. You have this month, because they're going to have to vote on that budget next month, and May, by the end of probably the second meeting of May, and they have to vote on that budget. So I think you have another council meeting, to do this. So if you don't have enough time to read that budget or go over that budget, like I said, you can't read that whole thing. It's kind of long, but just look at the table of contents and find something that might interest you.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Slim, also I'd like to make a comment too on the budget. There will be less money in the subsequent 2 years coming from the federal government, trickling down to the localities. In the beginning, President Joe Biden wrestled away a lot of money that saved this country and put most of the states and localities in the best financial system or financial health that they've had in maybe decades. Most states are flushed with money. The state of Virginia, I think they had a surplus of, what was that, $3 billion or something like that, just excess money, because they got a lot of the money that Joe Biden has sent down to the states, and that's probably more than that's a small amount. But that money is not, you might as well say that faucet is going to be turned off, because the Republicans want to slow down the economy. Actually, they want to stop the economy to blow, so they can make a blow and land a blow to Joe Biden, so they can get him out of office. But I go back to, what has he done? You look at, they passed the CHIPS Act, where we're going to be making, and it's going to help us in the supply chains, from everything from doing all the microwaves to we need the chips in the cars and all the manufacturing and all that. And if we're lucky enough, and if we had a governor that would compete for one of these factories, to bring in one of these factories that's going to manufacture chips, which we could create at least 10,000 new high-paying jobs. That was also passed during this time. You can look at I think, Slim, you talked about the infrastructure bill. All that money is a once-in-a-lifetime generational bill that's going to improve broadband, the roads, bridges, just about anything, water, get those lead pipes out. And you've seen all this, the construction on the highway. All that is trickled down from the infrastructure bill.
Yeah, and all that's important, especially in this area, as a port area with plenty of bridges and roads that
Yeah.
Take advantage of that.
During the last administration, they had infrastructure week 52 weeks out of every year for 4 years and never got
Never
anything.
got
Yeah,
anything
you
done.
remember Trump never asked that question. They would always ask him, well, what's your infrastructure bill? I mean, or what's your infrastructural plan? And he said, it's coming. I'll tell you in 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks later, he'd say the same thing. And all the way until he was voted out of office, he never presented anything. He always said
Exactly.
it was coming or he has one.
Yeah.
And, but that's an important part of the country's existence, you know, being able to take care of your infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He never did anything
Never did that.
or had anything that even looked like he knew about governing this country.
Didn't know anything about governing.
All he knew
He
is
didn't know anything.
run down there and golf down there in Mar-a-Lago. And if you look at the time that he had, he spent out of 4 years, at least 1.5 years down in Mar-a-Lago or one of his other resorts and golfing.
And blew a lot of dog whistles, which kept him in office, you know, because of those closet Republicans out there. And well, you don't have too many of them anymore. They're out there in your face now, you know, saying what they want to say, doing what they want to say, and with no consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go on, I got to mention this because the city council here, I'm switching back to local. They had a retreat over the past weekend. And I was smiling earlier because I was looking at the agenda here. They started out with respectful communications. The next one was council rules and best practices. Portsmouth past and present. Then they got to economic development and budget drivers. But whoever put this retreat together, they looked at it, they realized the first thing y'all got to do
Is learn to communicate.
learn to communicate
Learn to communicate.
and know the rules and follow the rules and best practices of the council. And I think that was wise because unless you get past that, all this other stuff, you know, I mean, it's important, but if you can't communicate, you know,
You can't get anything accomplished.
and that's why they were the first three, and Portsmouth past and present. And all three of those came before they got into economic development. And so I hope, I don't know if they filmed
James,
that.
did everyone attend the retreat? Was everyone present for the retreat?
I don't know. That's why I'm looking for the minutes. And I'll
Yes.
look at that later. Maybe we'll talk about it next.
I thought that I'd heard that some had not attended, but I don't want to say that unless I know it to be factual.
Well, you know, probably the same ones that weren't at the State of the City
Say
address.
State of the City function, yes, but I'm not sure, so I don't want to put it
You-
out there.
Why
I'm
would you
just
be on
asking.
council and not attend the State of the City address unless you,
Exactly.
you know, but it's always the same too. So, you know, but anyway, go back to the national thing. But I thought that was interesting how whoever puts that agenda together, maybe it was the city manager, you would think, how the first thing they did was focus on let's get this thing together,
Mhm.
you know, as far as how we act as a council. So
Because
we
it's
can
o-
see
because
going
it-
forward what
Yeah,
kind of
because-
aspects of it.
Because it's okay to disagree. It's how you disagree that makes the difference, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, you disagree without becoming disagreeable, and they disagree to the point of just totally destroying everything
Yeah,
that the council
to
stood
put
for,
somebody
so.
down to
Exactly.
disagree, and we elect them up there not for them to agree. We elect them up there
Exactly.
to come with, be individualists and come with different ideas and
Uh-huh.
challenge things that are happening. But you don't have to
Exactly.
put down your fellow people, you know, in order to get a point across.
Mhm,
You know, I
mhm.
mean, but anyway, I brought that up, Colonel. I don't know, or Leah. We can go back to the national scene, but we can sort of interchange it.
I sort of think that we need to come back, since it's 10 minutes after, come back to Portsmouth.
Mhm.
You know, because we got some crucial things coming up in our elections as well. We have a primary come June 20th, and it's important that everyone who is registered to vote to get out there and vote in the primary. Also, if you're not registered to vote, now's the time for you to register. You can register up until 30 days prior to the election.
Yeah.
So it's important that you get registered. It's important that you vote. It's important for you to understand the reasons why you are voting. We got some strong people running in this senatorial race.
And if you've
but
never taken advantage or you never taken seriously a primary, this is
This
one
is
you have to
serious.
take serious
This is
because
serious.
this redistricting was made to take one of our leaders out.
Leaders out, to take one of our
And
leaders
that's the
out.
way it is. So
That's right.
it's up
That's
to you
right.
to figure out which leader is the best. I saw Senator Lucas make a point this Saturday. I was watching a video, and she, at the end of her speech, she said, well, the Republicans came in a situation like that, and they decided one would step aside so the other one, the best one or the more one that might have done the most or will do the most going forward to do it. And that's not the case here in this primary. And it's unfortunate because somebody's gonna, you don't want to take you don't want to take either one of them out because both of them been around for a long time, but one has been around and one has more seniority. It's I think about third or she's
Yeah,
the two people that were ahead of her
they're
are gone
they're
now.
retiring.
They retired.
Finance and appropriations.
You can't get any more.
What better place can Chesapeake and Portsmouth be if we have someone who's over finance and appropriations?
Mhm.
Unheard of. I mean, you got to look at the entire picture. You got to look at
Yeah.
what's at stake, for us in this election.
So go to take advantage. I mean, go to the primary, take it serious, and vote in the primary and do your due diligence to check the candidates out. It won't take much to check these candidates. Most of if you want to compare the records and do things like that, do so. But who has been there and who's been the champion. And one thing you can look at is now a Portsmouth Chesapeake kind of thing. So you got one person that's been in Portsmouth for a while, well, forever, and it's going to be part of Chesapeake. And you got one person that's been in Chesapeake, but hadn't been a part of Portsmouth. So look at that, when you decide
look at the committee assignments that they will have. That's important.
Mhm.
Those committee assignments are extremely important. So look at the committee assignments and see where they stand with those assignments, because that can make a difference for the city. But for each of the cities, Portsmouth and Chesapeake will gain from the individuals based upon the committee assignments that they will have once they go back into session. So look at it, people. Register, get people registered to vote. There should be groups out there right now registering people. I know that the city registrar's office in Portsmouth, Alex, she's ready to get you registered. Get down there, get registered to vote, and be prepared to vote. Do not sit at home on June 20th. Get out there and vote.
And if you're going to be on vacation, vote early.
Vote early if you're on
That is the
vacation.
case.
Exactly so.
And you don't have to go to Las Vegas if you want to go to the casino. We got one right here, so you can
Got
sit right
one?
here.
Oh, let's talk about the casino in Portsmouth. Lord,
But
go ahead. I'm sorry, Colonel.
Go ahead, Colonel.
Casino. Yes. This election not only affects the city of Portsmouth, but the Senate affects everything in the state.
Everything.
And you mentioned, look at the records, and the record is clear. And this is not an endorsement because for anyone, but if you look at this, put apples and oranges in this on a piece of paper, or you can put it on an Excel spreadsheet, you can look, and it is clear who has done the most, who has represented you and at the Senate more than anyone else. Yes.
Look at the voting record. Pull up the voting record. That's what you need.
You can vote for somebody who's been a progressive that has worked for you, or you can vote for the placeholder that has just been there, that has talked a good game. A, done something. B, talked a good game. It's not endorsement, but it is clear. You make the decision.
You make the decision. It's
Yeah.
important. Do your research.
Your research.
Voter education is crucial.
Yes.
It is crucial.
Yes. So now you can go to the casino.
Yeah, James and I, we were fortunate enough to have attended the mayor's State of the City address at the casino on last Friday. The ballroom is a beautiful place. Oh my goodness. I mean, it is, and Roy Corby is an excellent host. He's the manager. I guess you call him manager, James, of the casino. He's the director, the manager.
Yeah,
the
he's like the head guy.
head person.
And
I
of
mean,
course, we had him on the show. He's the general manager.
general
That's what it's
manager,
like.
excellent host. And each event that I've been to at the casino, he's always graciously welcomed everyone who was in attendance. But there were over 600 people in attendance at the mayor's State of the City address, and most of your department heads were there. People from other cities were there, from Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Suffolk. And we did have 2 council members who were not present at the State of the City affair. But the one thing the mayor left us with was that Portsmouth is winning. Portsmouth is winning, and he really addressed those issues that are pertinent to the city of Portsmouth. And the presentation was outstanding. The visual arts were unbelievable, but it really kind of showed Portsmouth finally being a united city. And that's what he was trying to project. And hopefully that is where we are. But it was a great presentation, lots of citizens present, and James had his special moment.
Yeah, that's
James
funny.
had his
And
special
I'll
moment.
tell you, I was walking, they must have a good staff there, because they really clean those doors, those glass doors. Because I thought I was going outside and walk right into that door, and
We heard something go boom. We looked up. It was James and Benay, and I got a picture of James' face in
yeah,
the glass.
yeah,
In the
yeah,
glass.
So luckily, it was after the event, and most people had gone, but it was enough people. I'm waiting, looking at Facebook. I know somebody had their camera on.
I said,
So
the
I'm
one
watching
time I didn't have
Facebook.
my camera going. I needed that moment.
But I saw the door there, but it was so clear.
It
It
was
was
very clear.
on this side, it was open. On this side, I thought it was 2 openings. Bam! But I told Leah, my dad did the same thing. So those
Like
type
father, like
of
son.
things in my genes, to walk into the glass.
Yes.
Maybe sometimes you get full of yourself and think you can walk through glass. Maybe that's. I was feeling so good about Portsmouth. I can walk through glass. But anyway, let me mention this too. We were talking about. I mentioned about people stepping aside. For somebody who did it best. The redistricting was going to pit Nadarius Clark
Yes.
against Don Scott.
Uh-huh.
So rather than lose one of them, Nadarius decided to step aside and run in a different district. So he has a possibility of still staying in the House of Delegates. We won't lose one of them.
Exactly.
And I thought that was a wise move.
It was a wise move.
I was looking to see what district that was, but that he's going to. But
He's
anybody
primarily in the Suffolk area.
in the Suffolk area, most of it.
yeah.
So anybody that's in his district, make sure he's going around. He's got his boots on the ground.
Let me tell you
And he's a union grad, by the way. But anyway, he has his boots on the ground. And he's going around. So if you
And
see him,
he is a community. He's a community organizer, James.
mhm.
So, I mean, he is a community organizer. They are out there, honey. They are knocking on doors. They are putting up signs. They are all over Suffolk. When I go through Suffolk, I'm seeing the Darius signs everywhere.
Same thing he did when he ran the first time, but for
Exactly.
him, because he could have stayed in Don Scott's district the way they redistricted, and they would have had to run against each other in this primary. And
Mhm.
he very wisely, because he didn't want to jeopardize Don or
Exactly.
himself being completely put out. So
Mhm.
smart
And
move
and
on his case. And sometimes that's what you have to do. When you're when you're put in a situation like that, the Republicans, they were, mostly responsible for that redistricting, and they knew what they were doing. They were
I'm
kind of
sure that was a
that
bad
strategy. That
that was a
strategy
bad
was,
idea, man.
yeah, we can
That was
get
a
rid of
bad
some of
idea to
them by
put
putting them against each other.
that was a bad idea to put that redistricting committee together. I'm telling you, that was not a good idea
But
at all.
they've been doing that all over the country too. It's a part
Uh-huh.
of that voter thing that they're trying to do. So whatever they can do to eliminate and make it better for them to gain more control in the state houses as well as the and what about that guy? I'm switching that guy in Tennessee that was went after those two young delegates in Tennessee.
Yeah,
One of the
yeah.
main guys. Now he's in hot water.
Now he's in total hot water, not even living in this district.
Right. No, he live in the district,
He
and
doesn't
then
even live in this
he
district.
got some ethics issues going on
Yes,
with
he
him.
does.
So they need to put him out.
Thank you.
See, God don't like ugly.
Yes. Well, corruption exists and it flourishes in the Republican Party. I think we talked about earlier about people serving in this country, especially in the last administration. Very few of them had any morals. Very few of them believed in this country. The administration was filled with crooks, traitors, and resembled a mafia. And so that emanated, that infectious, that stench dripped down from the White House to the state houses and across this country. And it is a shame. And so we need to get out here and vote and to heal this country. And so we can get it back online so we can save our democracy.
And John Gantz said, divide and conquer. And they're masters at dividing and conquering.
Yeah,
Yes.
and John Ganson, he lives in the state of Texas.
Yeah, so he knows what's going on. That's for sure.
Our cousin.
But he knows what's
Yeah.
happening. That's for sure.
Yes, he
But
indeed. Gonna have to have him on the show one day.
Yes. And I would say Texas is turning in to be a slave state.
Texas and Florida.
Yep.
I got some friends who told me they're getting ready to move to Florida. I said, why in God's earth would you move to Florida at this time? This is not a time to move to Florida.
Yeah, a shout out goes to Gary Harris, who was reminding us this is Earth Week.
Yes.
And this is the time we need to look at, and Leah, you were talking about it earlier about the glaciers and all the things that man has done.
Exactly. James, and when you think about that, I think back to when I was at the Pines and I used to have to go to Alaska all the time. And I remember the first time I saw the Mendenhall glaciers, how beautiful and how miraculous they were. And then each time I would go back, you would see more and more of the glaciers melting. Each time you go back, the glaciers were getting smaller. And it has been said that should those glaciers melt completely, that the town of, oh my God, why am I blanking? It's the most rustic town in Alaska. Oh, it'll come to me. But anyway, so that town that city would be completely destroyed because it would be flooded out because of the melting of the glaciers. People, it is real. When you go to Venice and they got the water markings on the buildings, you see that the waters are declining or they're rising. You can see it. So It is a real thing.
Yeah, pretty soon they'll be walking on land in Venice.
It's Juneau. Thank you, John. That's exactly
Yeah,
what I was thinking about. Juneau and Juneau. John, I love John.
yes.
In Juneau, Alaska, they said the whole place would be destroyed should the glaciers melt.
John
So,
used to live in Alaska for a while.
okay. So if
Okay.
you don't believe in global warming, you better start believing.
Mhm.
If you don't take care of this earth, honey, but the Native Americans say, the indigenous people say that earth is Mother Earth is built on the back of the turtle, is the turtle, the back turtle back. But if we don't look out, there ain't gonna be no Mother Earth. Mother Earth is gonna be gone because we are not taking care of her.
Yes.
And when they say do not play with Mother Nature,
Mhm.
don't play with Mother Nature.
Yeah, shout outs to Thomas Ford, Roberto Carter, Gail Robinson, George Taylor, my classmate, Ira Dotton, my former neighborhood fellow, and Larry Darnell. Larry Darnell is one of those guys that be out there at the voting polls
Yes, he
early
does.
on. Ernestine Duncan and of course, Patsy Hines.
That's the
as
hand.
always. So thank you all for watching. We appreciate you.
You talked about Juneau going underwater, but you have to look at even past that, our coastal cities,
Yes.
Miami, New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
We live in a coastal city of Portsmouth.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
Those tides will rise. Those houses that live on the coast
Mm.
will be
Not a time to be on the coast.
not a good time.
Not a good time.
Say goodbye to your property.
Mhm.
It will be underwater, and it's not
Exactly.
covered by your
Exactly.
insurance plan. And
And if they give you an insurance plan right now, I don't think they're going to give you an insurance plan because it's inevitable unless we change our ways. Those places are going under. They're
Yeah.
going under.
Well, the premiums will be unaffordable.
Unaffordable. That's
But,
for sure.
and there's plenty of efforts, or plans out there to kind of rectify. I mean, some of the things we're not going to be able to turn back, but this is one of those areas where politics has no business being.
Exactly.
This is a life and survival thing, and politics is holding up things, because you got politicians that are for the coal companies and all that, and we can change this, and all the experts and scientists say we can reverse a lot of this stuff, but a lot of this stuff gets locked and turned up in the legislative process, which is crazy to me. So another reason elections have consequences.
Elections have consequences.
Yes.
And
I
that
mean,
is so
we
true.
could lose our very existence on this earth
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
sooner than you think.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? The president has in his infrastructure bill put out, I think it's like 300 or 350 billion dollars for green energy
Yes.
and to repair this our earth. And the Republicans want to claw that money back. They are on the side of big oil and coal, dirty coal,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't care. They just want to get those dividends and that campaign money so they can stay in power, because it really doesn't affect them. But it really does. When they get you can look at West Virginia with Joe Manchin. When he always in the bottom in leading from the bottom in education, the rates of asthma because of the coals and the environment up there, but he's in the pocket of big coal companies, and so he's a closet Republican, and they don't care about this earth until they have a natural disaster. Then they run up the federal government with a national disaster thing to get back up to the trough to get some money to repair something. And they do it every year, especially Florida.
Well, they already reserved seats on those rocket ships that these rich guys have.
They better hope it doesn't
That's gonna
explode like the last one.
they go to Mars.
Like, they better hope it doesn't explode like the last one that my man sent up.
It was a movie. I can't think of the name of it, where these people, the Earth was doomed because of not a satellite, but something was going to crash.
A meteor was
Meteor was going to crash
Uh-huh.
and take out the Earth. And the rich people, they got in a ship and went to this Mars or wherever they went to, this other planet. And when they came out, it took them years and years to go there, but whatever the ship was, it preserved them. And when they came out, everything was beautiful and everything, and they were walking around and said, "Wow, we made it." Then all of a sudden, these animals came out and started eating them.
Yes.
I'll tell you the name of the movie. Tyler Perry was in it, but it was kind of funny. I just off the top of my head. So be aware if you book a flight, to get out of here and go to another world.
Be careful where you're going.
Be careful where
You
you're
better
going.
know where you're going.
Animals came out and ate all of them.
So you know what? I got one more thing before I know we're getting at the end.
Yeah.
Like I just had to bring attention to this manufactured emergency called the debt ceiling.
Mhm.
We've always historically increased the debt because this is money that has already been
Been spent.
And then so Speaker McCarthy and the Republicans can, if they want, increase the debt ceiling. And if they want to put all these budget cuts that they want to do, the House puts forward a budget in the future for next year so that they can make their cuts if they want to. So they're manufacturing a problem that is not really here. So but if they don't do this, then it'll destroy our country, our economy, and send the world economy into a tailspin. But their budget that they put forward, and it's just not even a budget, it's just a framework because they don't know how to do the work. If you are disabled and getting Medicare, they're going to put a work requirement on you for you to continue assistance. They want to take back all the COVID funds that are unspent, and they want to take all the money for future COVID testing and research for the next pandemic. They don't care about that. If you're getting a Pell Grant, your Pell Grant is going to be smaller in the future if they get their way. If you're getting SNAP benefits, it's going to be a smaller SNAP. If you get it, they want to get rid of it and decrease that amount. If you get food assistance for the elderly and our children, those school lunches that you may have gotten for free, you will have to pay for them. That housing assistance that you get. So if the city is giving you any kind of housing assistance, the federal government's going to cut back their share. And so you will either have to pay more or you're going to have to leave there because you're not going to get any assistance. And that's just the start of what they want to do to you. Not just to you. They are turning their guns on you. So your vote is the only thing that you have to say.
Exactly.
Is enough.
Exactly.
So
go ahead, finish.
Yes. So as they say, what say you, Slim?
I was going to say, we talk about how things are unfair and two justice systems and everything is not equal. But one thing that makes us all equal is our vote.
Yes.
And John,
our vote goes across color lines, racial lines, anything. Once you go in there and do that vote, we all equal. It's just a matter of exercising that vote.
Yes.
And John just asked that we speak about Fox and the Dominion lawsuit settlement.
I think we touched on it the last host thing we had, but that was great. I mean, and Tucker Carlson is going still going at it.
Just
It's
like it was
business
nothing
as
at all.
usual. Right.
Just like that's because they were not made to apologize, really,
Mhm.
and for people to really see what those who listened to them see what they truly had done.
Okay.
It's only those who are outside of that Fox network who understands that they lied and they continue to lie.
Yes.
You know,
You
uh,
know, to admit that you lied and just continue to lie,
that's
you
right.
know, to pay to the millions of dollars,
And
and
they got
just keep going.
and they got other groups that are coming against them now who are coming against them as well. They should, and they need to go against the My Pillow guy, and which they are, as well as Rudy Giuliani
Yeah,
and all of those who perpetuated that lie throughout the last election.
yeah, you got to keep coming because those guys got deep pockets, and
Exactly.
what $787 million. I would like to see how much they pulled in last year. Probably nowhere near that. I mean, they could pay that.
That's a drop in the bucket.
Drop in the bucket.
Fox has a $3 billion dollar surplus that they have sitting on the sideline. Because of the tax system that we have in this country that protects the rich and the wealthy and corporations, they will be able to write the cost of this settlement down off of their profits next year. So basically, it's not going to cost them anything. So they're getting away. The American people are subsidizing this $780 million.
But you know what?
That picture.
And you're right. And I'm talking about the fact that they did not make Fox apologize. Well, you know one thing, with the people who they have who watch Fox, them apologizing would not have meant a hill of beans.
Yes.
It wouldn't, because it's almost like my man in Guyana, who they followed without thinking, I mean, it's just like the whole, and when I think about some of my friends out in the Midwest who are Fox folks and Trump folks, and these are supposedly educated folks. These are these are people with high-ranking jobs, like, really big jobs, and they believe everything. What are your eyes? What is your mind telling you? Do you go back and check these things before just jumping on the bandwagon? It's just amazing. So it wouldn't have made a difference if they apologized. I just had to put that in. It would not have made a difference.
It's hollow. It wouldn't have mean anything.
It wouldn't have meant
It
anything at
wouldn't have
all.
meant nothing. They would apologize and then went on.
Go right
about
back
their
to what they
business.
were doing, just as they're doing now.
And we here at Portsmouth Coffee Talk still trying to figure out what we said when Facebook
threw us in
tagged us.
jail. When Facebook knocked us off,
And
threw us in
whatever
jail.
it was something local, and if we make a mistake, we will apologize without being forced to. It's just the thing to do. If we would never lie, but we might, if you get misinformation, that we read, just like I heard them say that Biden was 86, should have known better, but and then I relayed that without really checking myself, but my co-host checked me. So that's why it's three of us. But anyway, hopefully if they keep coming after those people, that they can break them. But I think the more they come out, these guys thrive off being sued, off
That's right.
controversy. So
That's right.
the more you come after, the more people are watching.
Exactly.
Excuse me. And so it's just a never-ending cycle.
Yes.
Those guys are gonna be there as long as they want to.
Exactly.
So before we get off the radio show and off of Facebook, I just want to make another request out there for those who are out there in electron lands to listen to this show. And if you're hearing this message and this what we have to say, and you're not going to hear it anywhere else in this country, we need your help so we can continue this program. And you can send an honorarium or a donation check to Portsmouth Coffee Talk, P.O. Box 7664, Portsmouth, Virginia 23707. And we greatly need your help because we want to expand this program, especially since the radio show is going on FM. And if we get enough backings, we'll be able to expand the program, go to different, maybe even go to different hours.
Yeah,
And
and that's been a goal for a while.
yes.
But
And so we won't have to get up so early, and so we
yeah,
can expand the number of people that we get to touch. But we can't do it without your help.
yeah, because then we have to pay for the radio time. And our Cash App is $ PCT 1220, $ PCT 1220. And if you like to use Zelle, it's Portsmouth Coffee Talk at yahoo.com. And we also will be looking for sponsors, especially if we expand on the radio and go to a different hour. If we have sponsors, we can make sure that we will get the message out about your business. We can do that right now, but it definitely will help us, like the Colonel said, to expand our radio time, for one thing, because right now, the reason we are so early, because we are fitting into that time that the radio has to give out public service time. But if we want to go to an hour where more people will join us on our radio show at a more later hour, we will have to pay for that time. And your generous offerings for us to do that will be greatly appreciated. And we guarantee you we'll bring you the best we can do as far as sharing information and bringing on guests. We've had some amazing guests, and people know about us and they want to come up here and share their information. And you can be a part of that too. So thanks a lot, and we appreciate it. Any other comments? We can go to the now everybody has their part, right?
I don't know, we had to ask Leah.
Okay, all right, that's a co-host joke. But Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice. Yeah, I never can get the cup right.
Our community, our future, our community.
No.
You all did that to me. If you hadn't said that, I was going to be prepared.
You were ready until I should have just
Let's
went
try
into
one more time, James. Try it one
Okay.
more time.
Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice.
Our community.
In our future.
Amen.
All right,
Amen.
all right,
Amen.
And we thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you for
Take care.
listening.
And we'll
And
see
watching.
you this Thursday. We have a guest lined up that I know you enjoy. She's a part of the local media, a young lady. So stay tuned and you'll find out who she will be. See you Thursday.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.